Hello, welcome to semester two. It's really exciting to have you back, and also welcome to those of you who have not had me before. I'm Miss Jarmick, and here is our first lesson. We're getting started right away. Remember to write down the password to this lesson as I get there. Okay, so our first lesson is 1.2, so that means week one, and then it's the second thing we'll do in the week, so it's called 1.2. And it is all about stuff that we've talked about before, but with just slightly more vocabulary. So really, there's nothing new to learn. It's just some new vocabulary, and that's it. So you're gonna do great. If you're not exactly sure how to do the stuff that we learned last semester, that's okay. I'm here for you. We can meet independently. Also, Thursday at 2 p.m. in FJ Office 10, that's the Google code. I'm going to go through every single problem in this assignment, and so you can show up there and follow along with us, and it'll be more of a step-by-step, do the whole assignment together kind of a thing. So anyway, let's get started. All right, so the first vocab that we need to learn about is this word systems, and actually this word solving as well, but we'll talk about that in a second. Systems are more than one thing. So two parts can create a system, 3, 4, 5. We're going to be talking about systems of equations. And so what basically this means is we are just trying to solve more than one equation. And for us, it's going to be two equations. All right, and we're going to do it by graphing. So we're going to do it visually this first time. So this explains things in written form, which you can read if that's the way that you like to learn. But basically, the big idea is that we need to find where two lines intersect. That's what we call a solution. Or that's how we solve a system of equations, more than one equation. So let's get into these examples. It says identify the solution. So last semester, whenever we saw find the equation, we immediately stopped and we used the strategy of writing down y equals blank x plus blank to predict what our answer was going to look like at the end, help us prevent making mistakes. We're going to do the same thing this semester, but whenever we see something that says find the solution or identify the solution, we're going to stop and we're going to come down and we're going to make a little spot to put a point. And that is parenthesis, blank, comma, parenthesis, blank, and then another parenthesis. And we're going to put in our x value and our y value here. So what is the solution to a system of equations? It's just where the lines intersect, just like we talked about right up here. So look at the graph. Look at the two lines that are being graphed. Where do they intersect? Well, they intersect on the x-axis at 6. They intersect at the y-axis at 3. Remember, y goes up and down, x goes side to side. So all we have to do is come down here and say, oh, my x was 3 and my y was 6. Seriously, that's it. All right, let's do the next one. Identify the solution. So whenever you see find the solution or identify the solution, we come down here and we prepare ourselves for getting the question right. Then it says of the system of equations, or the two lines that are on the graph, we can see that the x value is going to be -5 and the y value is going to be +3. X always comes first and y comes second. That's it, you guys. Seriously, it's really not so bad. Now on this graph, it's kind of a trick question. We don't see where they cross at all. So if you can't see where the two lines cross, or it's not on the graph. And you can see that these two lines will never cross because they have the same slope or they're parallel. You could write no solution to that one. Don't worry too much about that. We'll get back to it. It won't be on one of your questions you have to turn in, but it's just interesting to think some lines don't cross ever. All right, I'm going to pause the thing. You should pause the video and come back when you're all done doing your own examples. Okay, welcome back. And here is your password. So make sure you write down this password to make sure that you see the when you get to the puzzle piece that's labeled 1.2 and it says put the password in, this is the password. It is my Google Voice number, and you must put those dashes in between exactly how it's written out here. And I made this the password because it is the best way to get a hold of me. It's not going to bother me if you want to text me or call me at any time because it's my work number. So if I'm not working, I won't answer and I'll get back to you as soon as I'm working again. Also, texting is really like the quickest and easiest way to communicate. So if you can text, that's the best. Yeah, and also your extra credit assignment for this week is to text me with some information. So check that out on our materials page. You can text me some information and I'll give you some extra credit. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to know, is that we're going to solve the following system of equations by graphing. Remember, whenever we see solve a system of equations or find the solution, we can come down to the bottom and set ourselves up for success by remembering that our final answer is going to be the point where the two lines cross. Now, for this is a little more complicated because we're not given the lines, we're given the equations, so we actually have to plug in the equations, graph the equations, and find it ourselves. So it can be a little bit more complicated. But we remember from last semester that if we need to graph a line, we always start at the b value on the y-axis, and then we use the slope to tell us to go down or up. So this one would say down because it's negative. And then to the right or to the left. And since 5 is positive, we go to the right. So we're making a slope triangle. It says go down 2, and then it says go to the right 5. And then one of my lovely students taught me how to cheat at this last semester. So I'm going to make a line in between those 2 points. And then because it's a linear function, I'm going to continue that pattern and cover the entire graph. Now you could do this by hand and just go like over 5, up 2, over 5, up 2, you know, that kind of a thing. But you know, this is just kind of a clever way that we can use technology to do the problems in a little bit easier fashion. All right, so again, we start at the y value on the y-axis, the b value, I should say, sorry. And then the 1/5, since it's a positive slope, we'd go up 1, and then the 5 tells us to go to the right. So we're going up 1, and then we're going to go over 5. And then we put our next point there. And the reason why I like to draw the line in between before I do my copy and paste is because sometimes people forget which side of the slope triangle the line is supposed to be on. All right, and we could stop there because we can see that the two lines are crossing right here. And the point there is -5 and 3. So the x is -5 and the y is +3. And we're done. That's it. So again, basically all we're doing is graphing a line, finding where the two lines cross. Graphing the lines, finding where the two lines cross. All right, so for this one, we're gonna start at -8 on the y-axis. So we start down in the negative y's, and I'll rewrite the slope over here for this one. So it's 3, but we know that if we don't have a rise and a run, it means that we need to rewrite it with a 1 underneath. And the reason why we can do that is because any number is the same number over 1. So it makes us a slope triangle that looks like this. Over 1, up 3. And then we can copy and paste that pattern to create our line. And again, if this does not work for you, you do not like having to do this copy paste stuff, or maybe you're doing this on paper, feel free just to draw, you know, over 1, up 3, over and over again. I find this convenient because I like to color code it to make it more obvious for you guys what's going on. All right, the other line starts at +8. So we're going to start at +8 right here. And then the slope, again, this one's a little tricky, so we're going to rewrite it. So the slope, it looks like it's just a negative symbol, but actually, whenever you have a naked x or an x without a number in front of it, it has a secret 1. And this one has 2 secret ones, because we not only have to know that it's telling us to go down 1, we also need a run. Our slope triangle must have 2 sides. So our slope triangle is going to be one of my favorite slopes. I love 1 over 1 or -1 over -1 or -1 over 1 because I think it creates the cutest little slope triangle, the tiniest little slope triangle possible. And let's see where it takes us. So this one, I don't know. This one might be better to just draw by hand, but I kind of like it because, you know, we get to use technology, although it can be kind of annoying sometimes. In some ways, it's kind of nice to be able to just copy paste rather than having to do it with pen and paper, which can be kind of annoying depending on what kind of handwriting you have and all that. So I'm going to stop there. I could keep going, but as you can see here, our point of intersection is right there, and we can see that's where y equals +4 and x equals positive 4. And so in our setup, which I should have done before, we get 4, 4. All right, you got 2 of those to try on your own. You're gonna do great. If you're feeling a little lost and graphing lines is not something that you know how to do, that's okay. Come to my office hours where we do the entire assignment together. It's at 2 p.m. on Thursdays, and the code is FJOffice10. There is a challenge problem this week. I'll give you a little hint to get you started. It is not required, but this question is in the puzzle piece, so you could check your answer if you would like to. Remember, in order to graph an equation that looks like this, you must find the x-intercept and the y-intercept and connect them. Or you can convert this to y equals mx plus b and graph it that way. So have fun with your challenge problem. Have fun doing your 5 assigned problems for this week. I'm here to help, and okay, I'm really excited to meet you.